Welcome to Reconnecting with Wholeness, the podcast where we dive deep into the messy, beautiful journey of coming home to yourself. I'm your host, Paige, and together we'll gently question everything, bringing you deeper into self-awareness, acceptance, and trust. So take a breath, settle in, and let's begin. Hello. Welcome to our very first episode. This is Reconnecting with Wholeness. I am your host, Paige, and this first season is Reconnection Starts With You. So in this very first episode, I'm going to talk a little bit about myself, my vision for the podcast as a whole, and then more specifically this season. I really feel like that's important to just kind of cover the foundations, kind of give you an insight as to who I am and what I believe and some of my framework, so that way it kind of gives you deeper insights just from where I'm coming from. My healing work and self-help journey, I typically say, started in 2018. The probably biggest pivotal moment for me was my husband and I had been married for a couple of years, and I want to say started to get serious about kids. We had had this conversation off and on, and in 2018 he was like, this time next year I want you off birth control. And I just had this oh shit moment of, in order to be the type of parent that I wanted to be, I needed to make some drastic changes. And I knew internally that I wanted to be somebody who was emotionally available and could have a tiny being in my home who had big emotions and was unregulated, and not have that push me into avoidance or anything like that. So after that, I had my first Reiki session. It wasn't something that was kind of intended. It just kind of fell in my lap. I was at a networking event and met this woman, and I said, I don't really know what it is that you do, but I think I need it. Because I was just in a place of searching, right? I was a place in being open. And so I had my first ever Reiki session, and that didn't crack me wide open, but I would say that it really opened the door for me to be open to the other experiences that came my way. We then did some emotional releasing work together, and as I met her, of course, as the universe would have it and luck would have it, I met other people. Then they introduced me to other people, and so before you knew it, at the end of 2019, I had this really just hugely transformative year. I had received my Reiki 1, 2, and Master that year. I had done a fire walk. I had been introduced to Kundalini Yoga. I had done a combo initiation. My sister-in-law had passed, and so that kind of made way for us thinking about having kids. We had, I don't know that I want to say all that. And so 2019 was just a really big transformative year. It was a year of a lot of releasing. And we found out that we were pregnant. I found out February 1st of 2020. And then, of course, the whole world shut down. So just as I was kind of I feel like I'm supposed to be a practitioner and share some of my wisdom and knowledge with the world, everything kind of closed up. The whole world did. And so 2020 was just really this year of deep rest and integration and survival, honestly, for me, and I'll probably talk about that more later. And then the following year I started to get back into wanting to really deepen my journey in different ways, getting back to seeing clients, that type of stuff. I did an advanced crystal practitioner program. I started body-mind coaching program. And then the following year I did my sound healing training. And so each year I've just kind of had this like added big thing that I've kind of dove into. As another technique, modality, self-improvement lesson, and I will stop and I will integrate for a little while, and then I don't know that I want to say that I move on to the next thing, because it's really not like taking and moving on to the next in the sense that I'm like done with this. It's really more of like collecting all of these little tools. So anyway, all of that to say, I've worked with a lot of different people. I've worked with a lot of different shamanic practitioners, coaches, tapping practitioners. Pretty much, if you want to think about like a modality, I've more or less probably dove into it in some component. And what I've learned is that some modalities are great, but really it's not about the modality at all. If your life is going to transform in any way, you just need to be open to that. There's self-awareness that needs to happen. There's acceptance that needs to happen. And then empowerment to make a different decision. Life is really in a lot of ways that simple. And so some of the things that I believe as a practitioner, I do believe in like love and light, but I'm not all love and light. I believe that the more that we look to ascend, the more that we also have to stay grounded. The more that we increase our capacity for love, the more we also have to increase our capacity for sadness and hurt. I don't think that a lot of people talk about kind of that light and dark side, so I definitely do. It's one of the things that I'm very passionate about. I believe that change can only happen as much as you're willing to allow it, and so if you have a belief that you're going to hold on to, that's great. I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not going to try to change that. But when and if you want to, then change is there. I believe that transformation is a lot easier than what we make it out to be. It really comes down to nervous system regulation and belief shifting. And if you can do those two things, if you can get your nervous system on board, your body on board to feel safe, and you can change those beliefs, then your whole life will completely transform. I've seen it in my own life and the life of others. So yeah, that I feel is like a pretty good breakdown of kind of who I am. I do have a daughter. She is 4.5 currently. She is my just love. She is wild and chaotic, and I am trying to leave her as untouched as possible. I have learned throughout my own healing journey that so much of what I had to heal from, right, was this like disconnection from self. People talk about it in a lot of different ways, whether that's using the term remembrance, unlearning, but really for me it was just this, I've had to reconnect. I've had to reconnect to my body, to my emotions, to different facets of me, to different beliefs, and I think that's where so much magic happens, and just that like reconnection. And so my hope for Harmony, as much as it's more convenient when she just listens to what I have to say, my hope for her is that I can kind of leave her as whole and connected from the very beginning as possible, and that hopefully through that she has less to work through. She has less to unlearn. We all have some component of trauma or moments in our lives that shape how we believe, what we believe, and I know that nobody gets out of that unscathed, so I hold myself accountable, but also not too accountable, I guess. I am married, very happily married. We have currently a dog and a cat, and have no plans to get any other animals after these two are gone. At one point in time, I thought I was I'll try anything once type of person, and I am slowly realizing that I will only do it once, so we better make it count. So, moving on from me to talk about a little bit my vision for this podcast. I have wanted to start a podcast for several years, and in all honesty, I'm glad now looking back that I didn't start one back when I first had the idea. Just because I'm a much more evolved person now. I'm clear about what I want, what I stand for, what I believe. And like I said, I believe that the premise of healing is really this component of reconnection. We can look at our body, we can look at emotions, we can look at beliefs, but really we have to reconnect to those. And some things we need to kind of like completely unplug and then re-plug it back in and like reboot that. And other things, it's like, no, actually it was fine. We just have to like plug it back in. That being said, I do take an approach that most of life is going to be reconnecting with things. I don't know that I'm ever fully connected to everything all of the time. And I don't know that that is an attainable, as much as it's like a nice idea, I don't know how attainable that is for humans. And so other people will talk about this idea of healing as this spiral, and we're always coming back and we're always going to like deeper truths. And I do think to some degree that's accurate. At the same time, what I have recognized is that sometimes it's not how it feels at all. Sometimes I connect in with sadness, and then joy, and then love, and then sadness again, and then joy, and then sadness. And then we stick with sadness for a while, and then we reconnect to self or to clarity. And that if we think of ourselves as like one of those surge protectors, you can only be plugged into so many things at a time, and maybe that is an idea or a belief based in scarcity or lack, but I don't know how much consciously we recognize all of the experiences and things that we're connected to, but I do think to be as connected as possible is the ultimate goal. For this particular season, we are going to first start with reconnection towards yourself. Next week, we're going to talk about discernment. We'll talk about the body. We'll talk about the nervous system. I'm really excited for this season, in all honesty. My commitment to you guys, anybody who's listening, is that I will take this season from April 2025 to August of 2025, and I am really going to do my best to make it about you, clarity, whatever you need to really be able to connect back into yourself, because I do think that that's the foundation of so many other things, right? We can't talk about connecting into our emotions or our shadows or inner child or our aspect of divine feminine or masculine if we don't first understand like our discernment and our decision making. Is our nervous system out of whack when we talk about receiving, right? Those all come into play as we get into some of those deeper layers. So I really see this first season as like just setting and laying the foundation. And I think that we can do that and we can move on to some like really deep, fun, juicy stuff. But along the way, there will still be some deep, fun, juicy stuff in this season. Because it's fun to me to talk about all of the different aspects that we have here. Just when we talk about ourselves as a human, as a spirit, as a soul, there's so many different places that we can go. So with that, I am so thankful that you found your way here. And if at any point I cover a topic and you want me to talk more about it, please reach out. You can do a contact us form on pagemerrill.com, or you can just email me at freespirithealing@yahoo.com, and I'm happy to create a podcast about whatever it is that you want to know, and we can go more into that. My goal for each episode is to leave you with really a question that you can discern for yourself, that you can decide for yourself. My goal is never to be a person who says that this is the way that it is and you have to agree with me. And we will definitely dive more into that when we talk about discernment. But ultimately, you are the creator of your own life. This is your life to live and to have and to enjoy. And I can't decide what's right for you, nor do I want to, but I do want to empower you to be able to decide what's right for you. So with that, I am very excited to talk to you all next week, and I hope you have a wonderful week ahead. Thanks for joining me today on Reconnecting with Wholeness. I invite you to take what resonated and explore how it shows up in your own life. Keep in mind, even the smallest shifts can spark transformation. If today's episode felt valuable for you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Share it, leave a review, or connect with me on social media. Until next time, keep exploring, keep feeling, and keep reconnecting with the wholeness that's already within you. Take care, and I'll see you in the next episode.